Okay guys, so I'm coming on to the end of this video series. This is the last video of the series where I analyze and compare From Nothing's video about what if Africa was never colonized to Alternate History Hub's video on the same topic. As I've said in all the other videos, I always felt that Alternate History Hub's video was very Eurocentric and very biased and very anti-African. And I found this wonderful video by From Nothing, who actually analyzed the same content. It was much more objective, less Eurocentric, much more objective, more factual in historical content. And so I decided I was going to make a video comparing the two, and it ended up being three or four videos. I think this is the third or fourth. I think this is the fourth video in this series, and I'm posting them all in a what do you call it, in a playlist where you can find videos about what if Africa was never colonized and various alternate history scenarios on that. So I'm going to try to add Alternate History Hub's video, From Nothing's video, and all of my videos on this topic, so that anyone who's interested in learning more about this topic can go ahead and do their research and come to a and understand this topic a lot more. So now that I've given you a little bit of foreshadowing, please check out the other videos because it will give you, there's a lot, there's a lot to consider. Like I said in the first or second video, my objective in doing all this is just to help people understand the nature of a Eurocentric worldview and the damage that it does to Africans and much of the developing world, and the way that the Eurocentric worldview actually suppresses progress and actually obstructs progress worldwide. And so that's actually my goal in doing these videos, to help people learn and to help people understand what this kind of thinking does, and ultimately to teach more, and to help people who are doing this type of thought experiment, or historians in general, to understand what having such a subjective view, or not being not being totally subjective, or not being totally objective as they consider history, what kind of ramifications that has on people groups as well as on the world world at large. So let's go on and finish up this little analysis. Hopefully this last video will be much shorter than all the rest, because I only have about 3 or 4 more minutes of this video to analyze, and then we'll move on. So this has been a great and exciting thought experiment, and I hope people will have responses. If you have a response from me or Alternate History Hub or From Nothing or any other person on the video, I just hope that these things will help you to think rationally and think critically about these topics, and not just swallow whatever random people tell you. Not even me, I'm a random person. Like, don't just swallow what people tell you, but actually do your research. And I hope that's what I'm encouraging through this video series. Let's get into it.
Last but not least, I'm going to fully dissect this map by thebigthink.com, and I'll express everything I feel about it, all of my opinions, all of my gripes, and all of my praises, and anything else that comes to mind when I look at this map. First off, I'm noticing that every square inch of the African continent has been cut up into a little piece, like there are borders between every country. They're all drawn out neat and pretty, and they all have names. While that's perfectly fine for areas like North Africa, West Africa, and East Africa, I still think that a lot of the continent would lack any type of official borders. And the reason for this is very large portions of Africa, more particularly the interior of the continent as well as the southern portions of the continent, were still pretty tribal. There were still very, let's say, embryonic civilizations there. They hadn't reached any form of centralized government or kingdom yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some pretty large and powerful kingdoms in the southern and interior of the continent. For example, the Zimbabwe Kingdom of Southern Africa, the Zulu, for example. They were all very powerful civilizations and very large civilizations, but They were the exception, not the rule, of those regions of Africa. And this is especially evident in areas like here, like this Zhu and Kung, for example. Those were hunter-gatherer Khoisan people. They were hunter-gatherers, they were nomads. They, as you can tell, because there are no cities in these areas. Those weren't really countries or kingdoms or centralized establishments. They were really more of realms of wandering tribesmen. And it's not that I don't think they should have been represented on this map, but they should have just been labeled differently. Instead of having hard borders like the rest of these kingdoms do, they should be represented by like maybe a little red haze or highlight or something, just to indicate that they're a wandering group of nomads, similar to the Tuareg of the Sahara Desert. I also praise the creators for trying to be as non-Eurocentric as possible. For example, having the map oriented south to north instead of north to south. But at the same time, I noticed there are still a few relics of European influence. For example, Benin is a Portuguese corruption of the native name for their country, which was Ubinu. But as I mentioned before, it is pretty much impossible to tell exactly what direction the African continent would have gone, considering there are very many variables that could influence that, so they obviously didn't fully dissect it and put all those things into account. All in all, without European influence, I think Africa would have been a more stable continent economically and politically, and civilizations would have grown and progressed at a more casual and regular rate, similar to the rest of the world, with occasional technological innovations and introductions such as firearms, which would temporarily give certain areas an edge over their rivals. Anyway guys, let me know your thoughts and your feelings on this. I know there's a lot more that I could go over, but this video is already pretty long. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to leave me a like and a subscribe. Thank you. See you next time.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. There's a few things that I'll say. Like, there are some conclusions that he reached there that were similar to alternate history hubs, including the fact that, the center of Africa, much of the center of Africa, or, a significant portion of the center of Africa would still have remained much more tribal in nature, and as far that there were some significant kingdoms in Central Africa, but they were the exception, not the rule, and things of that nature. So there are a few things that he did say that aligned with what, and then the introduction of firearms would have given certain areas an advantage over others, but he definitely did not say it in the way the Alternate History Hub said it, which was that there would have been a depopulation, and then there would have, like the way he said it was very very as if Africa was going to be some kind of backwards murderous place. And I think that is one of the perceptions of the Eurocentric lens, and it has to be acknowledged and corrected. So that's the main thing that I wanted to say. And yes, while there will still be some parts of Africa that would still remain developed or underdeveloped if Africa was never colonized, which is how it is now. So how is it exactly better? I don't know. But let's be honest about with ourselves. From Nothing says clearly through his analysis, which is a lot more detailed and historically accurate, that Africa actually would have been a lot more, it would have been able to grow in a much more organic, stable, and systematic way than what was imposed on them and kind of just, just done to them by the Europeans. So I think that's a very important point to leave on. Also, like, you see, there's still some rural areas in European nations, or for example, like in America, you see the Amish, who have chosen to remain technologically unmolested in their own little communities. And so with the Amish, you see that America gives them some kind of protection. Like, if you want to remain without adding technology, all this like Western, all this like technological influence, if you want to remain in that way, and I believe it's because the Amish are white, that they're allowed to continue in that way by the United States government and have their own sovereign territory, as there are various types of groups in America that are like that. The Amish, and also the Mormons have a large holding in Utah, and they live in a way that is very different from the rest of the United States, and all this technological. So the way that we affiliate and attribute this technological advancement to European, Eurocentric whiteness, the way we just speak of the two as if they're interchangeable, oftentimes associating Western with technological, or associating white with technology, or associating Europe with technology, is completely is completely misleading, because there are definitely pockets of the European and United States that are not like that, as well as in, we don't go around saying, oh, Japanese whatever, and associating that with, but that also has to do with colonial influence on the African continent, and the way that they see themselves in juxtaposed with their European colonial masters. So we really have to. So I really hope that this series helped somebody to think differently about the way we talk about history, the way we talk about ourselves as Black people, as Africans, and the way that, if there are any white people watching this, the way that you talk about us. I hope this opens your mind a little bit and helps you to see that it's not okay to just, talk flippantly or disregard the intelligence and the humanity of African people as you talk about them and talk about their history and talk about what happened to them. Because it is similar to, for example, a rape victim, for example, which Africa is a rape victim, if you ask me. It's similar to accusing a rape victim of doing something to warrants her being raped, or him being raped, and a warrant, and just it is similar to that, because it takes away the fact that person it has an inalienable humanity inside of them that makes it so that they're not meant to be violated in such a way. And so I think that's kind of the problem that's going on today. People are becoming a lot more callous with the humanity of each other, and the way that they see each other, and the way that they consider each other. And it's becoming a lot more, people are becoming a lot more aggressive with one another in the way that they handle each other. And all the politeness and all the civility that used to exist, that we used to treat each other with so much civility, even though it never fully existed, but on some level it did. It's kind of not only becoming a lot more tolerable to treat people with disdain and disregard and just violence. It's not only becoming more tolerable, but it's almost becoming promoted in the media and things like that. And I think we should be really careful about that, because, war is no joke. So that's all the time that I'm going to spend talking about this, and I hope that this brings some light to the situation. I'm going to create a playlist of all these videos, including the ones that I'm talking about, and other videos that I find that talk about what if Africa was never colonized. And I hope that you learned something. As always, remember to blossom where you are planted. Love ya. Peace.